Hi guys, and welcome to your Tuesday edition of the Daily Iowan TV Sports Studio. A recap of last night's NCAA title game between UConn and Kentucky coming up, but first we'll head back to the Diamond. Rick Heller and squad have stumbled in their past 5 conference games, dropping all of them, including their first season sweep of reigning Big Ten champions Indiana this past weekend. The road doesn't get any easier as the team begins a 2-game series with a 21-11 Kansas tonight. I took a look to see if the honeymoon period with Heller is over. The start to Iowa's baseball season was one of any athletic director's dream. A new coach bringing in early success in just the first few weeks that previous teams couldn't hope to accomplish in an entire season. But the early success may be fizzling for the Hawks. Heller's squad is now 3-5 in the Big Ten after losing 5 straight conference matchups, including being swept by the Hoosiers. Where they once sat on the throne of the Big Ten standings, now they're resting in the bottom of the pack at 8th.
And we're trying to put ourselves in a position where we can be in the top half of the league and make sure that we get into the conference tournament. You know, when you have a lot of goals like that, then you have to come out and we all need to be a little bit better than we were today.
Despite the bump in the road, Iowa is still getting things swinging offensively. They boast the second highest batting average and the highest on-base percentage, and they're second in runs scored.
We have a good vibe around the team.
Yeah.
You know, anytime we go out there, we feel like if we play well, take care of ourselves, we'll have a chance to win. Obviously, this one hurts a little bit, and we'll soak it in, and we'll see how we can get better from it, and we'll be back out here tomorrow.
So where can Iowa improve? The answer may lie in the arms of their pitchers. The Hawks have the 3rd worst ERA in the conference at 4.67. In each of their 5 last losses, they put a dagger in themselves. Against Indiana, they offered up 5 runs in a single inning in each of the 3 contests. The same story in the final series game against Michigan. The Wolverines put up 5 runs in the 8th to seal the win. The response to this? A simple remedy.
Our expectations need to be higher.
Iowa returns to Big Ten action Friday at Northwestern. There's a new champion in men's college basketball in one of the more improbable matchups in recent memory. 7-seeded UConn defeated 8-seeded Kentucky 60-54. The 5 freshman Wildcats that started were overmatched by senior Husky and Final Four most outstanding player, Shoaz Napier, who led the Huskies in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. Free throws were a huge factor in the game. UConn's perfect night from the charity stripe compared to Big Blue's 54% shooting night. Of course, some people were upset that the NCAA championship game was between teams not even ranked in the top 25, saying teams like Florida or Wisconsin were the better teams all year. Our own Kevin Glick makes the case for UConn.
Thanks, Jalen. And as always in the NCAA tournament, when lower seeds play in the tougher round of games, people get upset. But I'm here to make the case for UConn and why they're very deserving of their national championship. I know they didn't play in a very strong conference in the AAC, but take a look at who they beat to get there. They beat Iowa State, who won the Big 12 tournament. They beat Michigan State, who won the Big 10 tournament. And they beat Florida, who won the SEC tournament. So the notion that they didn't play any tough competition is really quite ridiculous. And when it comes down to the NCAA, it really comes down to guard play, and they had 2 of the best guards in the country and in the tournament in Ryan Boatwright and MVP of the tournament, Shoaz Napier. Sure, they weren't the best team all year, but they were the best team when it counts. There's a reason why the teams that win the NCAA tournament get so hot, and it's because they play well as a team, and UConn came together and peaked at the right time. Take a look at their opponent, Kentucky. They were the preseason number 1 when the season started. They had a little bit of a rough patch in the regular season, but they started playing the way that they should have in the tournament when it counted. And so I have really no problem of those 2 teams matching up. There's no reason to think that a matchup between 2 teams that have won 6 titles in the past 20 years is ridiculous. And on top of that, UConn's won 4 of them. They're a blue blood in college basketball. So even if they didn't have the best year this year, they are definitely one of those top-tier programs, and they deserve every bit of the championship that they won.
Before we leave you, late-breaking news regarding the men's basketball team. Darius Stokes and Kyle Meyer both been granted the full release from their scholarships. Stokes, who graduates in May, still has a year of eligibility and will look to use that final year elsewhere. Meyer, however, has 3 years left and will have to sit out a season before he can return to the court. That's all we have time for you today. Tune in to tomorrow's show for sound from football media availability and another edition of What It Takes. Back to you at the desk.